Good morning. Welcome. I'm Mary Winters, gerontologist, and you are watching Visionary Aging. Why do we do this show? Because aging is complicated and there are tons of resources out there. And when you need a plan, you need to put something together that's concise for you. And we want you to be able to live your vision of your own vision of aging. So here we go. We have a fantastic show. We have Marci Barett with us. She is a family mediator, and I have seen her live in action with some of those family members who have their fangs out at each other, and she does a fantastic job working through those issues with family matters. And so we're going to talk about some of the details and some of the things that she does. She's also going to talk about a really great fundraiser locally in Duarte, California, not far from Pasadena, and share some great work that she's doing with a nonprofit. We also have our fabulous Melinda on, and we have Steve McCullough on, who's going to ask a caregiver question. So let's go ahead and we'll start with Steve and see what question we have today. Hey, Steve.
Good morning, Mary. How are you?
Great. What kind of a question do you have for us today?
A very interesting question. It comes from one of our viewers. Their mom has dementia, but they've noticed a huge decline recently, and they're concerned. And they want to know what they need to look out for. Potentially what kind of issues are on the horizon, and what can they do to help stem that tide.
Yeah, so it could be one of several things, and I would say go to the doctor. But oftentimes what happens when someone does have dementia or not, somebody could have a urinary tract infection, very common within older adults. That's something I would have checked first, and potentially there's some antibiotics that could solve that problem. Maybe mom has had a mini stroke, we call them TIAs, and that's something to look at. Or maybe it's a rapid decline in her dementia. Some dementias do react differently, and there are some very long plateaus that people will have, and they kind of drop off into some more serious changes. But it's definitely something to go to the doctor and check out. Don't delay, especially UTIs can get out from under you quickly and the person can become septic at any age, really, but we have fewer reserves as we get older. So it's something we really want to tackle right away for sure.
My mom actually went through that when she was in the hospital. She had a UTI, and the confusion was so drastic.
Yes, it's really notable.
Yeah, and the nurses mentioned that it might take days or weeks for that to clear up.
Yes.
So it's a process.
Yeah, and we actually have some of our clients on a regimen of kind of like probiotics and some urinary tract health products that are over the counter. And Eucora is another company that has some great urinary tract health care, like preventative products too. So we've used that with some people that have lots of recurring issues, because I feel like prevention is always better than waiting for it to come up. And it's not good for our bodies to be on antibiotics constantly. And people do become intolerant to antibiotics. So it's really something to go to the doctor, talk about. Some older adults are not willing to have much water. You can also look at potentially more hydrating foods. Maybe Melinda can talk about that another day. I don't know that that's something she's prepared to talk about today, but it's very helpful to obviously have some more hydration. But the infection is from a bacteria. It doesn't come because you aren't drinking enough, but it will lead to that oftentimes. So great question. I hope that helps. And keep them coming. Yeah. Let Steve know. Reach out to info@aboutsenior-solutions.com, and we'll have your questions answered here on the show. So we have a great guest today. We have Marci Barett, and I think you know her from another world. the legal side of things. And so you've
Not the
known her.
TV show Another World, but actually,
Yes.
yes. No,
Professional
Marci,
girl.
she's awesome. I'm so excited to hear your interview with her. So
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to celebrate our 100th birthday, and then we're going to talk to Marci. Or no, maybe we'll do our, you know what? Let's just have Marci on right now. How's that? And
right.
and I'll have you back on later on.
Sounds good. Have a great show.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Marci, how are you this morning? Oops, I have you on mute, so we can't hear you. There we are. We should hear you. All right.
That's fun. I was just laughing along because, yes, Steve and I do know each other from another world. So just another thing you were saying about that question is, and the change that you see with dementia, but you also can see with a UTI is anger.
Oh, sure.
And so, you know, we've had a family member experiencing that recently where all of a sudden they were just really angry. And, you know, so that's something to look at. So.
Yeah, infections don't make us feel good, especially and especially if the person has dementia and they can't express themselves. That's a great way of being able to say, "I don't feel good," right?
Yeah.
So very great point. Really good. But you get some really angry families,
and that's funny because the first thing on my list, really, to talk about today was when we talk about you know, elder family mediation. We often ask people like, "How long do you want to stay angry?" You know, how much of your life do you want to devote to being angry at your parents, angry at your siblings, angry at the world? There's a lot of ways to get past the anger. And one of them is through our process, because being angry takes a lot of energy and it takes you away from the things that you love. So I like to talk, when I start talking to people, I mean, I talk often about like what mediation is and what it isn't. So the easiest is what it isn't. It's not meditation. I've been a mediator for over 15 years, and I still get questions like, is that where you go? Like, no, it's a calming, relaxing thing, but no, it's not meditation. It's also not medication. We're not a cure. We make people feel better, but we're not a cure. And it's also not therapy. And there are families that need family therapy.
They do. They really do.
Because there's like, the therapists have a toolbox and I have a toolbox, and they're not the same toolbox. So, you know, the types of families that need therapy, we often refer them to a therapist. But and the last thing mediation isn't handing over your problems for someone else to decide what to do. Because that's when you go to litigation. And in fact, I was going to wear this pin, but I didn't want to put a hole through my blouse. It says, mediate, don't litigate.
Oh, so much cheaper.
So, you know, if you don't solve your family's problems, the person in the black robe is going to solve them. And when the person in the black robe in the courtroom is solving them, the person, first of all the money goes to the lawyers. And yes, I am a lawyer too, but all of the money goes to the lawyers, and all of the decisions are made by someone out of your control. The idea behind mediation is keeping control within the family. It's really, sometimes we don't even like to use the word mediation, because mediation, people think of like a courtroom battle, and then you go to a mediator, and some people sit in one conference room and some people sit in another conference room. And what happens is then the mediator hops back and forth between rooms. Yeah, I do those kind of mediations too, but that's not family mediation. Family mediation is we get everyone at the same table talking. It's all about facilitating a conversation. Through COVID, we have found that doing mediation is possible on Zoom. We have had successful mediations now where everybody's in the, you know, we're not at the same table, but we're all there. And
does that take a little bit of the pressure off as far as having a little distance sometimes when you're on Zoom? Or
yes and no. Sometimes it's good to have the little bit of distance, but sometimes there is nothing like getting a family together and keeping them at the same table for 8 hours. Because
that sounds like my mom when we were kids. She used to say, if you're not going to get along, you're going to sit here and hold hands until I tell you you can leave.
Yeah, I love it. That's like your mom was looking for what we call the kumbaya moment. No. So if you're old enough to remember the Kumbaya, My Lord song, that's the kumbaya moment. And if you keep people there, eventually, you kind of wear them down and get them there. It's a little bit harder to get them there when you're on Zoom. On the other hand, as the mediator, it's a lot easier for me to silence someone because I have the ability to just mute them. So, and sometimes getting people into the mode of this is a respectful conversation. And also getting people to understand that it's not so much that everybody has to agree with each other. It's they have to hear each other. Mm-hmm. And they have to listen to what people are saying. And even even if I don't agree with you one bit, but okay, I get where you're coming from now. And sure. And that moment in the mediation where we see like the light bulb goes off, like, oh, okay, that's why that person is doing that. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with a decision my parents made. And that's other thing that's kind of like hard to get through sometimes is, first of all, here in America, adults are allowed to make bad decisions.
Yes.
And there's just nothing you can do about it. And sometimes with families, it's like the choice of who got to be the power of attorney. Mm-hmm. In certain cultures, it is always going to be the oldest son. Mm-hmm. He might be a deadbeat. He might be halfway across the world, but he's the oldest son. He's going to be the power of attorney. So how do the people who are here deal with that? And instead of being mad at their brother because he's the power of attorney, we find ways for them to communicate and work it out and share responsibility and work together. There's also this, when you talk about an older generation, they still look at men and women differently. So if there's a daughter, the daughter is going to have the caregiving responsibility.
Yes.
I'm sure you see that a lot. And sometimes it's not the daughter who should be the caregiver because, perhaps it's that the daughter has this busy career and doesn't have time. Or, not every woman has those caregiving instincts, and a son might, Stephen McCullough's got great caregiving instincts, he's been a wonderful son. There's always all these things at play. And then it's always, one of the ads you ran for this was something about like, still arguing over who got the pony and
right.
being angry about that. And we come across that, you got piano lessons and I didn't. We come across that kind of thing all along. And also there's just favoritism.
Right. For sure. Yeah.
And sometimes it's got to come out somewhere. It's like we have to be open about it and honest about it. Sometimes when I talk about favoritism, I have my sister, I'm hoping she's listening right now. She and I have an incredibly wonderful relationship, and we had a wonderful relationship with our parents. There weren't issues. We were blessed. But I remember saying stuff to my mom, like, do you have a favorite? And she would say, no, how could I love my right hand more than my left? And I thought, okay, that's nice. I love my right hand more than my left. I'm right-handed. That makes total sense. So I know she loved us equally. But getting open conversations and also getting people to realize what's going on and realize people are in denial. No, everything is fine. Mom doesn't have dementia. Everything is fine. And the other three siblings are like, are you kidding me? She just put her purse in the oven. That, one of those classic things. So getting people to talk about it in an open, safe environment where it's not about fighting. It's about everybody getting to say what they're feeling, what their position is, and hey, let's work on a solution. And when there are professionals like you involved, that always helps, because then we can say, okay, you know what you want to do. Now go back to Mary, and Mary's going to help put that in action.
The plan for sure.
So there's a lot of times professionals and attorneys are probably the worst of this. They try to mediate themselves. And the problem is, and also with some of the medical pressures, they have a duty, either a legal duty or an ethical duty, to the person who is their client or their patient. Yeah. Whereas our duty is to the process. We represent the process of communication. We represent everyone equally. I'm not one side's mediator. I'm the family's mediator.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to have that neutral party who goes through and is able to look at that. And I think about families all the time who fight, and sometimes there's a huge age disparity with siblings, but oftentimes not. And I just think about these kids growing up with their pajamas on a Saturday morning, sharing the cereal and watching cartoons together. And where did it all go wrong? And
yeah, that's so true. And that's a question we sometimes, will ask during the mediation process. Like, can you remember a time when you weren't fighting? What was it like then? And for some people, they almost can't remember a time, because fighting is how they communicated. So then it's getting them to realize, there's other ways of communicating, and let's think forward. Like, I can't change that you didn't get the pony. I can't change anything in your past. I also, like, once words are said, the bell has rung. We can't undo it. All we can do is look forward. How can we make it better? What can we do moving forward? And, and kind of getting families to realize there's a world out there without conflict.
Oh, sure. Share some of your success stories, because I think those are always really important to hear.
One of my favorite mediations in my career. And first of all, I always co-mediate. My company's Elder Resolution Partners, and my co-mediator, co-business owner, one of my best friends in my world, and we take mahjong lessons together now even, Cynthia Saffer and I, we always mediate together because we feel like it's really good to have two people in the room, because we observe so much when the other person is talking, and eye contact. So one of our favorite stories is this family. It was 4 daughters, spaced in age, kind of like you're talking about, and the mom. And they were these strong women, each of them strong-willed personality. And some of them, they couldn't stand to look at each other. They hadn't been in the same room for 5 years. And the last time they had been at the room was at somebody's wedding, and there was a fight, like women brawling. Okay.
Oh, gosh.
But, so we got them in the room, and we realized, like, we're not getting anywhere. And finally we said to them, okay, everybody look away from each other. Face the wall behind you, look in a different direction. And then one by one, they had them look at us and talk to us only, but let the other people hear what they had to say. And slowly it started melting and breaking down. And finally one, there were tears. And then one sibling says, I'd really like to give my sister a hug.
Oh,
and we were like, go for it. And then they got up, and then they all hugged. And then they got to the heart of the matter, which was, Mom is aging, and we don't know what the heck is going on with her. They got to the heart of the matter. They went out for margaritas afterwards. They didn't invite us, but okay, good. Good for them. Good for them. So that's one story. I think another thing that comes up with a lot of families is there's a lot of either miscommunication or lack of communication, or an aging parent communicates differently with different kids.
Yep.
And we had one case in particular where there was a dad, and I think there were 6 or 7 siblings, and whatever adult child he was talking to, he would say whatever they wanted to hear.
Yes. I call that gaming, because it happens a lot when you lose control and you're trying to find some level of control and somebody to help you. You tell them what they want to hear.
And we had
families against each other.
And we had a guy who was to the point where he was letting different children take him to different attorneys.
Oh,
so there were multiple powers of attorney, multiple, advanced care directives, multiple documents. And it was just a matter of, oh my gosh, like, who's going to be in control and who's going to get to say what dad's doing and stuff. And the person who, when the dad, and the mom had passed away, when the dad had really been in his best frame of mind, the person who had started kind of the process and was the power of attorney was probably the person who needed to be and was the power of attorney. But then there was this alternating stuff. We were at a mediation, and one of the daughters, first of all, was refusing to come, but then she did. And then all of a sudden her attorneys showed up and they had with documents. And we're like, okay, you got yours? Here's some other documents. And they were a little shocked to learn there were other documents out there, but it wasn't really the fault of the daughter so much as it was the fault of, the dad was doing whatever the daughter wanted. So
yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. I haven't seen it with that many stacks of documents, but I see it a lot where they are so angry at each other. And unless they're getting along to begin with and having those conversations, they don't realize that dad's gaming them. And he's trying to find his little bit of independence and control again. And it's like, oh, well, he'll help me. So I'll give you powers of attorney and she'll help me. And I'll give everybody here.
Whoever wants it. So another case, I'll just say, I don't know how much more time we have, but another case where one sibling had the power of attorney for healthcare. The other sibling had the power of attorney for finances, because that all made sense at some point, except the mother had pretty advanced Alzheimer's, and the two siblings hated each other. It was brothers and sisters. They just hated each other. They could not agree on one thing. And so it was getting to the point where mom was aging in place, and they were getting her 24-hour-a-day care, but deplorable living conditions, because the daughter who's in charge of the healthcare is saying, oh, we need to make this changes and we need this going on. And the son who's in charge of the finances didn't want to pay for a thing. To the point that there was no running water in the house.
Oh, that's not good at all.
Caregivers were having to bring in bottled water to wash their hands.
That's terrible.
And like the kitchen was falling apart, and these people were so wealthy. It wasn't a matter of, this is so bad, we don't have the money to take care of mom. This was such petty fighting. And so we finally took them aside and said to each of them, would you live like that? I mean, really, can you picture yourself living in that, in that dwelling with a broken faucet, having to use bottle? I mean, would you do that? And both of them were like, oh no, I would never live like that. Why do you think it's okay to have your mom living like that?
Sure.
So it's sort of like, it's getting to that eye-opening moment. And sometimes it's getting the people to the table. And there's sometimes for us, it's when there's multiple siblings, there's a holdout. And usually the holdout is the cause of the problems, or initially thought to be the cause of the problems. And people are like, oh, my brother will never come to this. Oh, my sister will never come to this. Or, oh, I can never get my aunt to come in on this. And we have a theory. If you think about that Kevin Costner movie, Field of Dreams, where he builds a baseball field in Iowa. What is Ray Liotta, the ghost, says, if you build it, they will come.
They will come.
And it's true. If we set a mediation date and a time and we give people notice, they come, whether they want to or not, because they can't stand the thought of not being part of it. And that stuff is going to happen behind their back. So you have to kind of use people's paranoia to their benefit. So that's the kind of stuff we do at Elder Resolution Partners. We get them to come. So
nice. That's fantastic. Well, we have a viewer, Jenny Delgado from our office, who's saying, great conversation. Love it. Tell us, you're with Elder Resolution Partners. I have your company name scrolling at the bottom here. Hopefully we spelled it correctly.
Yes.
But tell us how we should get a hold of you if we're interested in moving forward.
Great. So that website, if you go on that website, there's contact info. Also, you can email me. The best email for me is mlbmediator@gmail.com. And but if you search Elder Resolution Partners, we come up. And we have also, we do a complimentary consultation. You're not on the clock right away until everybody agrees to be on the clock. And that's the best way to get a hold of us. We're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn. You can find us everywhere.
elderresolutionpartners.com. Marci, come back and tell us about a fundraiser that you're having. Will you do that?
I sure will.
Okay, before the end of the show, we're going to talk about a great fundraiser that's coming up and everybody should be participating in. So let me go ahead and we're going to talk about a 100th birthday. We'll see you in a sec.
Okay.
And we have an interesting birthday because this gentleman is 100 years old. He's originally from Croatia, and he is a winemaker. You may be familiar with him and his wines from Napa Valley. So let's go ahead and celebrate. So the person we are celebrating today is from Gurgich Hills. They call him Mike. And I'm going to stick with Mike because his real name is a little more complicated. But last week, Gurgich Hills Estate kicked off their celebration of Mike's 100th birthday with the release of 2 highly collectible Centennial Celebration wines. So I know you can enjoy those up in Napa. Mike shared, I realize that you don't make wine only with your head and your senses. You make wine with your heart. And he started Grigig Vina in 1996 with his daughter, Violet, I believe is her name. And they have tons of acclamations and wonderful things that he was awarded for his wine making. Let's see, I think over 50 years ago, one of the prizes that he received he was very emphatic about the fact that we can make great wines here in the States. And he proved that with his many awards that he received. And let's see if I can get some more pictures up of him just before we take off. But I know that his Hey, Melinda.
Hey, good morning.
Let's see if we can get the screen set up here. There we go.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Great. So what kind of little words of wisdom do you have for us today?
I thought we could talk a little bit about how important massage is.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Especially as we get older.
Okay.
Massage improves circulation, the flexibility of our joints. It increases muscle tone and strength, and it improves quality of sleep. It also reduces pain and swelling, lowers blood pressure, and a lot of times decreases stress and anxiety. So the benefits of massage for every person, but especially as we get older, and especially for people, I think, who may live and experience most of their life alone, that touch is even very important. Not just the massage, but just the interaction with the massage therapist and the touch.
Yes.
We know, a baby will, I think it's like a baby will die without touch. So
I mean, it was years ago. I don't know if you would have remembered, but it was a rhesus monkey study in the 50s. And I don't know if they can do these studies or not anymore, but they were allowed to then. And they took 3 little baby rhesus monkeys and put them in cages. One had a mom, their natural mother. One had a cloth mother that it would go to, and they would put the bottle, attach it to the cloth mother. And the other had a wire monkey mom. And obviously didn't get any comforting, any touch, anything that was soft or significant. And the wire monkey baby kind of became schizophrenic. It didn't know how to behave socially. And the one with the cloth mother, they saw that it was able to interact and be part of society as it grew and developed. And the one who was nurtured by its own mother grew very similarly to the one with the cloth mother. But we know that, yeah, when we don't have kind and tenderness and touch, that it changes us. It changes our brain. And
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of touch through massage. And I know that was something my aunt actually did very regularly after she lost her husband. It was something that I did a lot after I went through a separation too, because I felt like that emotional touch is really important. And
Yeah, the same when I was single, I went for regular massages all the time. It's just so important. And especially if, like I've moved out from Ohio to California. So the number of people who give you hugs, I
yes,
remember that very specifically. I had back in 2004, when I first moved to Los Angeles from Ohio, I had gotten a job waiting tables, my first job out here. And I remember I moved out in September, and in November for Thanksgiving, someone gave me a hug. And I realized in that moment that it was the first time that I'd been touched in months.
wow.
Because I didn't know anyone out here. So it's not like people were going around giving me a hug. Welcome to LA. And I just remember the way that my body responded to that hug, not having seen any of my friends and family and not knowing anyone and not having that personal touch. But it is really important. And then there's, of course, all of those health benefits. It can improve balance,
I know.
by increasing blood flow to the limbs, stimulating the nervous system. Massage is an important factor for rehabilitation. If there's been some sort of accident or surgery or something like that somebody's, recovering from, it can speed up recovery exponentially.
Yes. That's why like Marci is so important too, because if you have a senior and everybody's fighting around the senior, they're not going to heal as well. There's a lot of evidence that supports that too. It's very interesting.
Well, massage also increases the health of your immune system. So if, we want to stay healthy as we get older, and part of that is a healthy immune system. I mean, the benefits are just numerous. And it's one of the things we talk about at the Strength Shop a lot. I think, most of us have this view of massage as being some luxury thing that you do on vacation. And really, it's more important for our health. It's more maintenance for our body, and certainly it gets more important as we age.
Absolutely, and I think we need lots of hugs. And I love being able to give people hugs, especially in the communities or after my lectures. People will come up and give me a hug, and I love it. So I think everybody needs 8 hugs a day or more.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's super important. So, all right, hang out with us until the end of the show. We're going to bring Marci back on because she's going to talk about a fundraiser that's taking place. And we'll bring her in and we'll bring you back later. So here we go. Oops. Hey, Marci.
Hi there.
Well, we want to talk about that fundraiser.
Yes. So, and I put my Monrovia Providers Group pin on now because
hats.
Yes, I am. I wear a lot of hats, but one of them is the president of Monrovia Providers Group, and our longtime president of our organization, Reverend Doug Edwards, passed away last year.
Yes.
And Doug was such a special man, and he's the person who handed this pin to me. So I'm wearing it now, just kind of close to my heart because I think about him, and talk about a lovely man. If you whenever you talked to him, you always felt better. Whatever was wrong, you felt better. He was so uplifting. And I love that the 100th birthday was a winemaker because Doug loved wine.
Yes.
So it all ties in. Anyways, we are holding an event. Monrovia Providers Group is holding an event on April 20th. We are raising money, part of which will be spent planting a tree at Westminster Gardens. Doug worked there for many years. His mom is actually also there. It's a place that's near and dear for his family, so that's why we chose to do it at Westminster Gardens. So we'll be holding the event there as well. They're helping us sponsor this. So it is on April 20th from 4 to 7 p.m. Yep, there's the flyer. Yay! And that's a picture of Doug just being Doug, just smiling and and being the wonderful man he was. And so we are raising funds, like I said, for the tree, and we are also Monrovia Providers Group gives one-time grants to seniors in need in the San Gabriel Valley. And so part of what we will be doing is establishing a grant in his name as well.
Yeah, that's great.
So anyways, the information is there. It's info@monroviaproviders.org to RSVP. We're asking for a donation of $50 per person. There's going to be lots of wine. Doug's two favorite wine regions were Spain, where his daughter Amanda had studied, and Paso Robles. So we're going to be having wines from those regions and non-alcoholic beverages and snacks and fellowship. And so we are asking people to help buy a branch for Doug Edwards, help Doug's tree grow.
Oh, that's fabulous. And if you haven't been to Westminster Gardens, it is a fabulous community, just where seniors thrive. And I think Doug really helped to embody that and build that, to nurture that culture in that community, which is really important. And if you haven't been to El Sueño and the patio there, it's a beautiful evening, and you'll really enjoy yourself. So please join us and participate in helping Doug's tree grow. And if you need any flyers, and again, Marci, I'm going to go ahead and pull the flyer up close one more time. Where should people reach out to?
It's info@monroviaproviders.org, and our website address is monroviaproviders.org. So you can find information for it there. And it's super easy to register for the event, pay online by PayPal, and then we look forward to seeing everyone there.
That sounds great. Well, wonderful. Well, let's get our friends back on, and we'll get ready to say goodbye. But we'll have Steve is going to give us this day in sports, and we also have I think it's World Health Day too. Would you like to stay on with us while we're
Sure.
All right. Well, let me bring Steve back, and we'll talk about that. We'll bring Linda back, and here we go.
Hello.
So, Steve, what day in sports is it today?
Excuse me, a little cough. I apologize. So today, the year was 1963, and Jack Nicklaus won his first of 7 green jackets. His first Masters golf championship. So the Masters is one of the 4 major golfing events that it's played annually, and it's actually going on right now. So he was 23 years old.
Wow.
And he set a record that people thought would never be broken. And then along comes Tiger Woods. And Tiger Woods was going to destroy the Jack Nicklaus's record. You get a green jacket when you win a Masters. So everybody thought Tiger Woods was going to just put that record out of reach. But he's had a struggle last couple of years to get his next victory. So far, Jack Nicklaus still holds the record for most green jackets, most Master Championships, and he won his first one in 1963. That's today in sports.
That's a great year. That's 60 years. Almost my birthday. Anyway, how about we also talk about what day on the perk it is today? If you want a free copy of the perk, we will send that out to you. It's a daily paper, lots of fun, little things to interact and reminisce on. And our pun for World Health Day is the rumor that only fresh orange juice is healthy is a good example of pulp fiction. So, yeah. But go ahead and call Ginny. She's at 359-0108, or reach out to her at GINNY@aboutsenioursolutions.com, and she'll get this fantastic perk for free out to you, and you can have some fun with your friends or your family, children, your seniors. And tomorrow's National Zoo Lovers Day, so just so that you know.
Nice. So I misspoke. Jack Nicklaus won 6 green jackets.
Ooh, wow.
How many has Tiger won, Steve?
That's a great question. I want to say 5.
Okay, he's still in it though, right? He made the.
He's still playing. They're in the second day today, but I think they were going to have a lot of rain, so it's going to be a really slow day. He was, I think, 2 over yesterday. So he's kind of far from the leaders, and I don't know if he's expected to make the cut.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, great. Thank you. Well, everybody join that fundraiser. If you need more information, Marci, again, tell us how we get a hold of you.
MLBmediator@gmail.com.
And we'll just go around the circle. Melinda, how do we get a hold of you?
Our phone number is 626-999-4850.
And Steve, if somebody has a caregiver question for you, they should go to info@aboutsenioursolutions.com, and we will get your questions answered. So thank you so much, and have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Happy Easter.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yes, happy Easter.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you.